back, baby. Rachel, it's been a while since I've seen you, but I would like to personally welcome you back to our show, the Real Life Investing Podcast with Jason and Rachel Wagner. Rachel, welcome back to the show. I feel like I haven't seen you or talked to you in a year.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like that. But really, I should welcome you back because I did the last episode. So, Jason, it's been a long time. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for setting up, too. I always appreciate it when you set up the equipment.
Oh, man. So, of all the shows that you wanted to talk about, I mean, this is like, breaking back into what, season 3 or something. Okay, why did we take such a big hiatus? Can you maybe go on and explain that?
Yeah, we had a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was listening to the last episode that we did together, and it was on our son. And I was 8 days postpartum on that episode. I'm like so proud of myself when I listen to me speak because that was like such a blurry time as it is after you have a baby. But anyways, yeah, we had our third child. And we took on homeschool last fall. And so over this last year, we have had at least one child in the house all the time. And that made it very difficult to find uninterrupted time for us to podcast together because when that time did happen, it was after 9:00 and we both wanted to go to bed. So
yeah, there's no way I can podcast at 9:00.
Yeah.
Like it's just not happening.
It's a rare occurrence.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
But now we get, a couple hours, a couple days a week where we have time in our house without our kiddos.
Because it's summer school. It's summer school, summer camp season.
It is summer camp season.
Woohoo! It's amazing. The house is empty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, man. It's so great. So great. I feel like growing up, like our parents made jokes about all this stuff too. Like, oh, the kids are out of the house. And, we could just never relate. But now we really can. No, we really can. All right.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah. Okay. Let's get into the show. What is it that you wanted to bring up here? This topic is all going to be on our son, Wes. I feel like he's 1 year old now. You remember, this is the unvaccinated boy. This is the boy that doesn't have a single drop of any foreign substance in his body. Nothing was injected into him. No goo was put over his eyes. And follow-up appointments, no vaccines, no nothing. I actually was telling this to a friend of mine. I had a phone call conversation. And he's like, dude, I really like your guys' podcast because you guys are just like so open about everyday life things. And, it's helpful to hear. And he's like, but I always thought your son was just like not vaccinated for COVID. And I said, oh, no. Not vaccinated at all. He's like, so what does that mean? Like, go into that. I'm like, not a single drop. Literally not a single drop. Yeah. And how many vaccines do children get in their first year? Do you know the stat offhand?
Gosh, I want to say it's like 24, 25 doses.
In their first year?
Yeah, I would have to look it up to be sure, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, at birth, you get vitamin K and Hep B within the first 24 hours. And then you start the schedule at 2 months. You get rotavirus, DTaP. I don't know if you get IPV yet, polio. I don't remember. But yeah, you go 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. That's a big one. It's an insane amount of doses of medicine. So yeah, so to Jason's point, our 69th episode we did right after our son Wes was born, and we were just sharing what happened to us in the hospital as we turned down all of these newborn protocols that have been standard in the U.S. for many, many years for most people. The vitamin K, antibiotics for GBS, Rogam if you're Rh negative, Hep B, the antibiotic eye cream that they put on babies the second they're born. We declined all of that. And so in our 69th episode, we talk about the experience of doing that, our reasons why. And now a little over a year later, we thought it was worth doing an episode sharing what this last year with Wes has been like and the outcome of those decisions and how we're looking forward.
So just to plug this into Grok real quick, I asked how many vaccines does a child get in their first year of life in the U.S. under the current CDC childhood immunization schedule, which remains in effect as of June 2026. Okay, a child following the routine recommendations typically receives between 20 and 30 individual vaccine doses, injections or oral, by their first birthday, age 12 months, depending on the exact brand's flu season timing and whether certain vaccines like COVID-19 or flu are given. So, this is hepatitis B, rotavirus, DTaP, Hib, PCV,
It's pneumococcal.
IPV,
Polio.
RSV, monoclonal antibody, influenza, COVID-19, and others like MMR.
Yeah, so that's once you hit 12 months. So
Yeah,
at 12
once you
months,
hit
you
12
start
months.
getting MMR, varicella, which is chickenpox, Hep A. It just keeps going.
Total doses, 20 to 30 range for their first year of life.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot.
Wow. And so what did we do with our first two children? Rach?
We followed that schedule. So our girls got all of those except COVID and RSV because they weren't on the market yet.
So since Wes was born, is hepatitis B still on that schedule? Or was that like removed?
No, it's still on the schedule.
Oh, right. I'm looking at it right now. Right.
Yeah, all of these are still on the schedule.
Okay.
Nothing has been removed.
Nothing has been removed.
No.
But what happened with that ACIP meeting where they recommended removing Hep B? Do you remember that? Robert Malone? I'm gonna say.
I do kind of remember that, but I don't remember an actual change occurring. But yeah.
Okay.
Who
We're just
knows?
going to clarify this. I'm just going to say I thought Hep B was removed. All right. This is great. Real time.
This is Jason, like in real time, real
You're
life,
right.
just on grok all the time.
To note the changes and debates around it, hepatitis B vaccine was targeted for significant revision in late 2025, early 2026.
Yeah,
Okay.
but those recommendations have been
But those
stayed by a
updates
court
have been stayed by federal court order. Wild.
Yeah, so it's all the same.
Yeah. So nothing's changed. Okay. But they've encouraged more discussion around this stuff. All right. So let's talk about it. Let's see. Is our child dying? Is he infected with all of these crazy diseases that we're vaccinating against him for?
Yeah, and no, he's not. And I don't want to be like pompous in this show either about this stuff.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah. And dial me back. That's
yeah,
fine.
I want to dial you back because kids can get sick at any time.
That's true.
And when we did the last episode, the main, I think, theme around that episode was just understanding your risk. And so that's really what we did with all of these decisions was understand the risk of contracting these infections and then the actual risk of severe illness or death with these infections. And all of this information is available. And it doesn't, if you actually go into the data, it doesn't match what is being told in marketing materials or from your physicians. So it's actually really interesting to dig into and happy to recommend books and podcasts if people are interested in that. But that was the theme, right? Is it's not that our unvaccinated son couldn't get measles or couldn't get chickenpox. I actually think he's probably pretty likely to get chickenpox at some point in his life. It's understanding the risk that carries for him, So no, to answer your question, he is actually thriving. And as we look at our three children, as I mentioned, our first two children were fully vaccinated up until age 2. And it's interesting because somebody said something to me who I was talking to was a similar situation where their first couple of children were vaccinated and their younger children were not. It's that, and you hear this in like podcasts and books too, is that most people are not anti-vaxxers. Most people are ex-vaxxers, where they did vaccinate, they did fully believe in vaccines, which I full-heartedly, 100% was so pro-vaccine to the point of when Scarlett was a baby, I would schedule her appointments like right on her 2-month birthday, right on her 4-month birthday, because I didn't want her to miss another day of not having that protection. Like, just total psycho. But
You also didn't want her to be around anybody
who wasn't vaccinated.
vaccinated.
Oh, yeah.
Or if she didn't have her vaccines, you didn't want her to be around people. Like you were.
Oh, I was terrified.
You
I
were
was-
insane in terms of like when you actually think about what you used to be versus what you are now
Yeah.
is like it's night and day. And it's astounding to
There's
me.
a lot of things going on there too. Like I had some postpartum anxiety with Scarlett, and but I think a lot of that was driven by the fear that was placed on me for just being a new mom and what the doctors say, what the news says, and then of course being thrown into a pandemic. But yeah, so I just want to make that point. It's like people who are reaching the point of not vaccinating a child are typically ex-vaxxers. They're not anti-vaxxers. There's people who did believe in the system and then saw something go wrong or asked a question and got an answer that didn't make sense. And that's 100% us.
Yeah. And so, like, real quick, okay, so hepatitis B, what was the risk of actually Wes contracting hepatitis B?
I don't have a number to it, but most of the time hepatitis B is passed from dirty needles or unprotected sex. And, you know, he's a newborn. So.
Right. Just like, it's like almost impossible for...
Yeah,
the
like again,
likelihood is just
in our
ridiculously
lifestyle,
low.
the likelihood of him contracting, you know,
hepatitis B is extremely low.
Insanely low.
It's insanely low. So that's a risk we were obviously willing to take. What about rotavirus? What do you think is a risk for contracting rotavirus? Now, here's the interesting part. Did we believe that Scarlett had rotavirus?
Scarlett reacted to the rotavirus vaccine.
She reacted to the rotavirus vaccine.
Yeah,
so the
she
vaccine
was
of rotavirus
given the
gave
rotavirus
her likely rotavirus effects.
Yes. So the most common side effect of the rotavirus. So rotavirus is like chronic diarrhea, and the risk of chronic diarrhea, especially to a young baby, is dehydration. And so Scarlett got the rotavirus vaccine at two months, and then she had chronic diarrhea for 2 weeks and was in the emergency room to get rehydrated. So she got a vaccine to protect her from having chronic diarrhea, and then she got really bad chronic diarrhea for 2 weeks.
We told the doctor how many times she had pooped in that day, and what was the number?
It was in the 30s.
It was in the 30s.
Yeah.
And this doctor was telling us, this pediatrician at the time, she was like, I'm retiring next week. And she's like, I've been doing this for 40 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've never written a number down on a piece of paper of saying that a child has pooped that many times.
Yeah. And being like new parents, and she was only, 2, almost 3 months old at that point. I was tracking everything. So I had the Sprout app, and I'm like, look at my app. I literally have every single poop that she's had, marked gross, here. Yeah. I've even got the description of what it looked like,
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
She was literally the poor thing squirting out like a
So we were just like, well,
bottle.
we have some experience with this, so we don't want to give that one.
Yeah.
So let's skip that one. DTaP. Let's see. We had somebody say that they were really concerned about pertussis. Can you go into like what that would entail?
I think pertussis is a real concern, right? Like I think the likelihood of Wes contracting pertussis at some point is also fairly high, especially among the community that we're in.
What does that mean? The community that we're in? What are you talking about?
So we have attended a school where they've had a pertussis outbreak, and I think that's because a lot of the people that we do go to school with don't vaccinate. And what happened? The whole first grade was out for a week or two with a bad respiratory cough, and then they all got better and they all came back to school. I don't know. Wait, are you wanting to go through each and every one of these?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh,
because
okay.
I want
Yeah,
you. You're very good at like off the cuff here. Like Rachel didn't prepare for any of this, right? So I'm asking you questions like as a another parent would say. Well, why can't we pick and choose, Rachel? Like why didn't you guys pick and choose?
Well, I think you can. And I think people, the last episode we did and this episode too, I think is all about understanding your risk. And so everybody has to make that decision for themselves. If you end up having a child who seems to be prone to respiratory illness or has an underlying factor where they're, have higher pulmonary risks, then maybe these are things that you need to consider 100%. It's not that, I'm sitting here saying that everybody should not vaccinate because I don't necessarily know that that's true. But for us, when we look at our risk profile, we full-heartedly believe that our children are at greater risk of obtaining the vaccines than they are at not at this given point, right? Why? Because They were born healthy pregnancies, healthy child. I knew that my plan was to breastfeed, and that, biology is huge protection for the child, especially like if you're nursing, which I am and still am. And so knowing that I had these layers of protection for Wes made me more comfortable. It's not to say that I didn't have moments of fear, because I certainly did. But so far, everything has been fine.
So diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. Like, is that like, why didn't we get that vaccine?
Well, because SIDS is listed as a side effect on the package insert. That's why I did not get DTaP.
Okay.
So it was fascinating to me when I actually read that, because
for the DTaP vaccine, SIDS is listed
yes
as a side effect?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that like a black box warning, or what is that? What's the difference between those? Do you know?
I don't think I can technically speak to what that is. I know vitamin K has a black box warning on it, that it can cause death. I don't recall.
That's another one. Because vitamin K isn't even on this list.
Because they don't consider vitamin K a vaccine.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. All right. So we also declined that part, because that's actually the very first injection.
Well, actually, I think
that's
you're
the
right.
very first injection.
I think vitamin K is the first injection,
Yes,
and then
I've
Hep
watched,
B is
I've watched
right
it go into 2 of my children.
Okay.
I've watched it.
Yeah.
Because that's when they take the baby from the mother to go clean up the baby, and they weigh, they measure, and then boom, that's when dad is watching vitamin K go into their child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we're being honest, I would say vitamin K and Rogaine were probably the 2 hardest choices of ones not to get.
Okay. And so what was the logic behind vitamin K?
For me, it was a black box warning, and just faith, I think, which is, everybody's gonna have their own opinion on that. But for me, it was like, I don't believe that God made babies born deficient. The whole thing is, babies are deficient in vitamin K and they don't produce enough vitamin K until a certain age. Okay. Well, cord blood also has very rich levels of vitamin K. So if you do delayed cord clamping, baby's going to get a huge infusion of that vitamin K. And if you're breastfeeding, baby's also going to get some vitamin K protection from that. So do I think that God's design was so flawed that we needed to intervene and give a vitamin? I personally did not. I think knowing that pregnancy was healthy, birth ended up being super low risk, there wasn't any high risk for bleeding, I was very comfortable not choosing vitamin K. And I think I said in our last episode too, like, had the situation been different at birth, like say they needed to use the vacuum or something to get him out, like the risk of intracranial bleeding obviously is significantly greater if you're going through that. So I think in those instances, like, judgment call is different, right? Because your risk level changes, right? But for us, like, he was in the birth canal a pretty short period of time. I pushed him out pretty quickly. There wasn't a lot of trauma or need to fear, the risk of intracranial bleeding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Well, because you can do vitamin K, which is the injection, or you can do the one that's like the goo, right? That goes over the eyes.
No, that's something different. That's an antibiotic cream. So there's another option for vitamin K. They offered us this.
Oh, it's an oral,
yes.
right? It's an oral. I'm sorry.
Hospitals, at least our hospital, they also had a preservative-free vitamin K. It's like newer. It's like their next step sales to try and get you to take it. So that's an option if you are interested in that. And then we know some people who also do oral vitamin K drops. So that is an option too. We didn't do any of that. We didn't do any vitamin K. And I think, you were asking like about risk. Well, both of our 2 prior children had elevated bilirubin ratings and were jaundiced. That's what the bilirubin test is. They both had jaundice. Layla was, fairly low. Scarlett was a little bit higher. We had to go back and do extra testing. Wes didn't have any elevated level whatsoever. I remember that nurse coming in and doing the testing, and you were like watching her super closely, and you asked what the number was, and she told you, and you were like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Nothing there.
Yeah,
right?
nothing
and like,
there.
I
There's
said in the last episode,
no levels of jaundice, like very extreme low levels of jaundice.
There was nothing.
Nothing.
He was totally 100% in the green.
Yeah.
Layla was like borderline, and then
so,
Scarlett was in jaundice.
And so we believe that the vitamin K actually leads to jaundice, right?
It says that in the vaccine insert.
Oh,
yeah,
how about
it
that?
sait's in
All right,
there.
so it's not a belief.
It's not a belief. That is actually like a known fact in the insert. So, having had that experience with both our daughters, and then knowing that there was a black box warning label and seeing the side effects that they, actually experienced, it was pretty easy for us to be like, we're not going to do that this time. And the result was he didn't have any elevated bilirubin. His levels were all perfectly normal. He had no issue. And I think too, like, again, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to try to be like scientific on this, but just like common sense wise, as you think about it, it's like this baby is just born and you're going to inject them right away with a high level of something that's going to have to go and be processed through their liver. And then to be looking at their liver and be like, oh, geez, like they've got weird, like elevated, bilirubin numbers. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you just pump them full of a bunch of crap that they didn't need because you're saying they're deficient. Again, I don't know. For me, it doesn't really add up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what about Hib? I don't even know what Hib is.
It's a type of flu, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, not concerned about that one?
It's not that I'm not concerned about our kid getting sick, right?
Okay.
It's that I believe that their immune system is designed to fight off these infections, and especially when, I'm supporting that immune system with breast milk. I think we should trust God's design.
Do you think that there is a side effect of taking the Hib vaccine?
I don't know that one well enough to
Okay.
say here, but I believe there is a side effect to taking every vaccine. And why do I say that? Is because every vaccine is designed to change the way your body responds, and change the way your immune system is responding to something. That's what it's supposed to do, right? These vaccines, I think a misconception is that these vaccines are preventing infection, and majority of them on the schedule are not actually preventing infection. They're preventing disease. So you get exposed, you get infected, but the way your body responds to that infection is what the vaccine is created to do. So it doesn't want to show the symptoms of the infection that your immune would typically do. So it is changing you, right? So let's use chickenpox as an example, right? If you get infected with chickenpox and you're unvaccinated, like both of us, you had chickenpox as a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you get infected with chickenpox.
Scar, like somewhere on my face.
Yeah. So you get chickenpox and your immune response is to break out in all these itchy bumps. It totally sucks. You got to wait like 2 weeks. They scab over. It's highly contagious. Incubation period is like a week, so nobody ever knows where it comes from, right? Like super inconvenient, super annoying, right? You get the chickenpox vaccine. It doesn't stop you from getting infected with chickenpox. You can still get infected with the virus. What changes is your body doesn't respond with the same symptom of disease. So you're not going to break out in all of these itchy spots anymore because your immune system has been changed. It's been altered on purpose. So when I stop and think about that, it's like we are purposely changing our body's natural immune response to prevent, these symptoms, which there's a logical reason to want to do that, right? Like, we don't want people to have high fever. We don't want people to have encephalitis. We don't want people to be sick for 2 weeks. Like, I get the desire to want to do that, but also saying these vaccines don't cause anything is really stupid because they are designed to cause something. They are designed to change the way your body is reacting. They're designed to change your immune response, your natural immune response. So, going back to this, am I afraid of it? Okay, maybe, not really, no, because I believe that our bodies were designed to fight off infection and illness, and I believe in modern day Western medicine. So should our child get infected with whatever, we'll take them to the doctor, we'll look at our options to treat it, and then we'll move on. But do we need to be preventative about all of these things to the point where we're going to inject them 24 to 30 times in their first year of life? No.
Literally what you just said there was perfect. Was perfect because I think there's a lot of people that think if they get pertussis, That's it for them. They're done.
It's a risk. Like babies who get pertussis as an infant could end up in the hospital because they have a hard time breathing. Yeah, 100%. There's a risk. It's the same with RSV, right? Again, I think everybody's got to assess their own risk profile. For us,
but it's treatable, right?
In the majority of cases, it's treatable.
Okay.
Yes. And what I want to point out is when you're making the decision to not get any of these things that are going to change the immune system, or in my thought process, weaken the immune system, your susceptibility to illness actually goes down because you're not constantly pounding that immune system the first day of life with something that you're trying to alter it, right? So let's think about that. You're giving a baby 2 shots within the first 24 hours of life that is that's hitting their immune system right away. Those organs are just waking up and you are just going to pound it, right? And then we're going to keep doing that every couple months for the first year. So like that immune system is constantly just getting So then in my thought, it's already weakened every time you're exposed to these other infections, right? Versus a kid who's not getting any of those is set up for potential success.
Yeah. So you're saying that you actually might have a stronger immune system without these injections.
That's my belief.
Okay.
And
Do we have any proof to show that?
I don't think I can say that it's definitive proof because we're not over here doing a clinical trial or anything, but our first 2 kids were vaxxed to the max, as I like to say, vaxxed to the max.
Nice.
Their first 2 years of life, and they were sick a lot. They had a lot of illness, high fevers. Neither one of them had antibiotics under the age of 3, so I will, make that point out. They were never ill enough to have an antibiotic under the age of 3. They've certainly both had their fair share of antibiotics now, thanks to strep throat. But their first year of life, they always had colds, they always had green boogers, they always had high fevers. I was constantly giving them, Motrin or Tylenol, for everything. It was like they were always sick. They were in daycare, so Scarlett was in daycare. Layla didn't go to daycare her first year of life. But then you look at our third born. He's never had Tylenol or Motrin because he's never had a fever. He's had a handful of days where he had a runny nose, a cough, and was just irritable. Like you could just tell that he didn't feel good. But aside from that, he went his entire first year of life with no illness, no fever, no need for medicine.
So 0 fever. So I had actually posted on X every single month, kind of tracking his sickness. So like stuffed up nose or if he had a cough or anything. And so as a full year of actually tracking this stuff, okay, here's what I say on the day before his 1 year birthday. I said, my completely unvaccinated son turns 1 year old tomorrow. This last month, he had 2 more sick days, runny nose and cough. This brings his total sick days for the year to 11 days. A typical 1 year old, according to Grok, has 42 to 120 sick days. My son had 11. A typical 1 year old will have had at least 6 to 24 days with a fever. My son has never had a fever. 0 days. And then I say, tomorrow we celebrate a beautiful, healthy boy. I was excited.
And it's interesting seeing those stats too, because you look back at, again, our first 2 daughters, they probably easily fell within that 42 to 120 day range of being sick.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And we've had a couple people make comments to us about like, well, your son's not in daycare. Okay, let's like use that comparison for sure. Because Scarlett was in daycare at 12 weeks. I was still working. So she went to daycare. So she definitely had more exposure than Wes did. But Layla didn't. Layla didn't go to daycare for the entire first year of her life. And she was still sick.
Still very sick.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting comment there. Well, you must not have ever taken Wes out of the house.
Yeah, as a third born, Wes went everywhere. He's the one kid that never had a schedule because he always had to come with us. So, yeah, he literally came with me probably 80% of the time, every time, drop off, pick up the kids, take them to their activities. And then to go even further, he was, kind of like a world traveler.
Wait, you brought him on a plane? You brought an unvaccinated boy on a plane? Don't they screen for that?
At 6 months old, and in the height of cold and flu season in November, we took him on a plane to then aboard a cruise ship for a week.
You put him on a cruise ship, which people call Petri dishes?
We did, yeah.
I always love hearing about the cruise stuff because, that's just where everybody gets sick. That's just recirculating airflow.
Yeah.
And, thousands of people just breathe in the same air.
Yep.
And he didn't get sick from that, did he?
Nope. So then we turned around and we booked another trip for December. We went to Dallas. Mm-hmm. We flew him to Dallas right before Christmas.
It was on a plane.
Yeah. It was on a plane, yeah. And then in April, he was 11 months old. We took him to Florida for a week with a group of, 9 kids? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, So he had his fair share of being out of the house.
Yeah, he was definitely out of the house. He definitely traveled. And he's got 2 older siblings who were out in the midst of all the things and who got sick. Our entire family got sick. The first week of January?
Oh my gosh, yes. Because we started the year doing another round of 75 hard, and I think we probably started like January 3rd or 4th. Mm-hmm. And it was on day 8 that we got knocked out because you and I both caught the flu.
From the kids.
Yeah, okay.
The kids, remember? They were throwing up.
Yeah, okay. So it started with Scarlett.
No, it started with Layla.
Okay, it started with Layla. Throwing up.
Yeah.
Awful. Chills. Yeah.
She was
tiredness.
Throwing up in the van next to Wes.
Oh, yes.
Like literally next to him.
While you guys were at Scarlett's soccer practice. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it started with Layla. It took, 3 days for her to recover? 2 or 3 days?
She got hit
2 or
hard.
3 days. And then, as soon as she was good, then Scarlett got it.
Yep.
And it was 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
And then as soon as she was good, you and I got it the exact same day.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to point out, again, as far as Wes exposure goes, both Wes and Scarlett were in our bed the night Scarlett got sick, and Scarlett threw up
in our bed
next to Wes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So the boy is exposed all over.
Yeah. And the girls are all over his face.
To this severe flu symptom. I mean, when you and I both got it, we were debilitated.
Yeah, and trying to take care of 3 kids when that was the first time both of us had ever been knocked out. That was actually insane. We've always been staggered.
Both stuck in bed and we couldn't move.
Yeah, I know. This is really gross, but I remember
we had to change a diaper?
Yeah,
and
we were both so sick. We couldn't stand up.
Yeah.
We had to change him on the floor, and it was you were holding the wipes or the diaper or whatever, and I was holding the leg, and we were just passing out changing this poor kid's diaper. And then I remember crawling up the stairs, being we got to get the bag in play. We're just going to put him in the bag in play so we could sleep. And thankfully, he was still at an age where he would kind of play on his own, but that was kind of scary.
It was.
It was honestly scary.
Well, it was because we had 3 kids. We had 3 kids in the house.
We were not watching them.
2 of them were running around. They were feeling great, and both parents are handicapped, almost dead in the bed, and we literally could not move for 2 days. And
yeah.
All right. So long story short, did Wes get the flu?
Wes did not get the flu.
What the fuck? How did he not get the flu?
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane. That literally blows my mind just even talking about it.
Yeah.
Every single person in our family got the flu, and my unvaccinated son did not.
Yeah.
And his exposure level was off the charts.
Yeah.
What in the world? Literally what in the world? So.
Yeah.
A remarkable test. Praise God for that. That was awesome. Let's see. All right, going back to this list. Did we talk about pneumococcal conjugate and PCV? Did we talk about that one? What's the risk of that one?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
Okay. IPV, polio.
Yeah,
Everyone always talks about the polio vaccine.
Everybody always wants to ask about the polio vaccine.
Everyone wants to talk about the polio vaccine.
Yeah.
Well, what if he gets polio? Okay, so do you have any defense on this one? Why didn't we get the polio vaccine? You're smiling. Why?
I am.
Because you're about to say something, but you don't want to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
Yeah. In all the reading that I have done and looking at the data, I personally don't believe that the most severe symptoms or side effects, when we're talking like paralysis or iron lung type stuff, I no longer believe that those were truly side effects of the polio infection or virus.
You think it was the DDT stuff?
I do.
And what is that again? DDT was like the spraying of chemicals to combat what?
It was some type of pesticide. I don't remember specifically what it was. The history of polio is very fascinating. I don't feel like I have like a complete 100% handle on all of it because it has such a long history. But the pattern and outbreaks of polio are very erratic and bizarre. But the latest one, the one that everybody kind of remembers, the like 30s and 40s, I believe, was also around the time of DDT when they were doing like intense spraying in cities and in the barracks. Like polio was certainly running through military bases, and that was also true like of bases that were in other countries where like the local country people were not getting polio, but our service people were in the barracks in that region. So just a lot of bizarre stuff. I don't want to go down like the whole rabbit hole, but I personally don't believe that the worst side effects of polio were actually true side effects of polio.
Fascinating. How'd you learn all that?
Books.
Which book?
Podcasts. Turtles All the Way Down was the first one. The next one, I'm reading Vaccines Amen by Aaron Siri. I also listened to, what was that lady's name who was on Joe Rogan? Humphreys.
Yeah.
Humphreys.
Susan Humphreys.
Susan Humphreys. Yeah. They go through like just historical data about it, and it just raises enough questions to where I don't feel as concerned.
Yeah. Okay.
So
how about RSV? That one sounds very serious.
Yeah, RSV used to scare the crap out of me, and I would say it still does. You don't want your kids to get RSV. You don't want your kids to get any illness, right? Young babies and toddlers definitely have high risk of side effects of those respiratory infections where, they're going to have a hard time breathing, need to go to the hospital. We know people who've had to do that, right? But I will say, of the people that I know who got in a very small pool sample size, but the few people that I do know who got that vaccine when they were pregnant, had kids who were really suffering's an exaggeration, who struggled with respiratory illness when they were born.
So this is given to the mother? This RSV?
Yeah, when you're pregnant. I can't remember if they give it to the babies now, but it's one that you get while you're pregnant.
It says often one dose in the first year. Timing depends on maternal vaccination status and season for infants 8 to 19 months in some cases.
Oh, so 8 to 19 months. So yeah, they are giving it to babies, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Influenza. Interesting. We passed on influenza. But you would think that the flu that we had, maybe it was influenza. Right? Our flu story. You would think that, the reason Wes didn't get it is because he got the flu vaccine.
Well, he didn't.
I know.
But I also don't think, in fairness, I don't think the flu vaccine is covering the gastritis, the like gastrointestinal flus.
Right. Well, I might be totally wrong there.
Yeah, I think the flu vaccine is actually covering your respiratory flu A, flu B.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you. See, this is why we balance each other out. I'm just presenting what the layman or average person would think about these things. And then,
I'm pretty sure the flu shot is actually for the respiratory flu, not for...
Okay. Yeah. Cool. COVID-19. Let's talk about that one.
Do we need to?
No. That's you shouldn't have even personally gotten that vaccine. Many people did. That was the biggest lie of our lifetime.
Yeah, we did not get it. Our children did not get it.
I will never ever give that to a child. And it's really disheartening that they still give it to children. Honestly, it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. I don't say that lightly. All right, MMR. So that would be coming up, right? Probably in his
At 1 year.
Start at 1 year. So we would really start the MMR vaccines right now. Chickenpox, Hep A. Why would we not want to do that? Aren't you scared of measles, mumps, or rubella?
I am more afraid of the side effects of the vaccine. Encephalitis.
Yeah.
And actually, it's interesting. I've been reading a lot of things about statistics. We were just talking about this the other day. Statistically, people who got measles and mumps naturally have a lower risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer.
Oh, people that contracted measles
Yes.
have a lower risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah.
So-
Could just be a weird correlation and not a causation. But
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was his first year of life, and that's all the vaccine doses that we just went through. Is there anything else that I missed to consider?
think no, I don't think you missed any vaccines. I think when we look back at like the pregnancy and the birth stuff, like all the fear that was around, not getting RhoGAM, I was going to get sensitized
let's
to
talk
that.
let's talk about that, because you were pressured into extremely pressured into go back to our episode. It was episode 69, where we are in real time kind of talking about what just happened with the birth of our son, and we were still very fresh with the pressure that was coming from the hospital staff, the doctors, the nurses, the nurse practitioners, the actual doctor. Like they pushed this stuff on you, and they actually showed us the risk. They showed us the calculation, and then I was glad that they did that, because once they did show the calculation, I was like, it's not very high.
Yeah, that was the GBS. The pediatric doctor came in and pulled up a chair to sit down and talk with Jason, and she pulled up the chart, and the risk was like 0.5% to 2.5%.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I that sounds like good odds to me, so I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and then the follow-up with the RhoGAM, we had shared, like, okay, they tested me right after birth, and I wasn't sensitized, even though there was like such a hype that was going to happen. And
okay,
then,
but hold on, talk about what that means. So they gave you RhoGAM for what reason, and what is it?
Okay, yeah. So because I have a negative blood type, I'm A negative, and you as a father have a positive blood type, our chances of having a baby with a positive blood type are pretty high. And in this case, Wes was a positive blood type. We knew that in advance because I tested. It's actually an interesting story if you go back to that episode and listen to it. But what can happen is if the baby's blood in any way enters the mother's bloodstream, the mother's immune system can then attack the baby as like a foreign whatever, because it doesn't have the right Rh factor. It's very rare, but can happen. Our risk as compatibility was 16%, so it wasn't, totally not possible. It totally could happen. But if you do become sensitized, the risk is actually to a subsequent pregnancy. So being pregnant with Wes at that time was not at risk, or like very rarely unlikely to be at risk. It was all about if you're going to have another baby. And so what I kept saying was, okay, well, this is our third child. We don't even know if we want another baby, but we'll just test me after Wes, and that can be a determining factor. If we determine that I am sensitized, then I guess Jason and I will just be like, okay, well, we're not going to take the risk of having, my body attack a potential new pregnancy. We just won't have another baby. But we don't even know if I'm sensitized yet. So why is there like so much hype around this? They were so intense about RhoGAM. And I go into more detail in that in the other episode. I don't need to do that again. But ultimately, I wasn't sensitized at birth. They tested me right after. And I went back for my 6-week appointment, and I still am not sensitized. It didn't happen. I didn't get RhoGAM. I'm totally fine. And I think if we ever decide to have another baby before we start trying, I would go back and get tested one more time just to be sure. But as of now, it appears as though. So
you fell within the 84% of not being sensitized.
I did, and that risk profile is less for people of different, blood type compatibilities or whatever. But yeah. So there's that, and then obviously GBS declined the antibiotics. I didn't pass it to Wes. He didn't get sick. He's totally fine.
So the worst case scenarios did not happen.
They did not happen.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. We declined it all, and it's okay.
Did you feel, talk about your psyche going through this last year? Were you, at what point, I'm assuming, new parent, especially first-time parent, maybe going against the grain of these recommendations, and just the fear that is, one, put in your face when you're making these decisions, and you have to say no, and you don't just say no, and they're like, okay. They're like, you have to say no 10 times, and you have to be willing to show that you have some type of mental capacity to think about this, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to have the strength to keep saying no in the face of them telling you how stupid it is. And like point blank, and I'm sure every physician is different, but like he literally said to us, this is a stupid decision. You're not going to find a pediatrician to support this whatsoever, which wasn't true.
Oh, that's another thing, right?
But, I mean, he very blatantly told us how stupid we were being and would say things like, why would you want your baby to suffer?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, he said some pretty awful things to us.
While I was in labor.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is also another big concern is that, well, if you're not vaccinated, I can't just go to any doctor, which is true.
You can't just go to any doctor, and you can't just
go to any doctor.
Any school.
Yeah. So you have to figure out how to do it all. And so how do you do it all? Like, I think that's the biggest concern is that a lot of people have is that, you know, I know actually a number of people who they were going to a doctor, they refused the vaccines, and then they got a letter that said, we are no longer going to treat you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very real thing.
Like, how shitty is that of the healthcare system to do that to this family that doesn't want to subject their child to all of the, symptoms that could come from vaccination. Mm-hmm. And they say, okay, yeah, well, we don't care about you anymore. See ya. Go find somebody else. So that's a thing. And so how do you defend against that? Well, I guess you go to places like Well-Rooted, places like Eisenstein Clinic. And what would you call those? Like, those are holistic. What do you call those? They're run by nurse practitioners, not run by like. Help me out here.
Well-Rooted is a little more holistic, but functional medicine.
Yeah.
They've got a pediatric side, and then they've got a functional health side. I don't know what I would call Eisenstein Clinic exactly. They're a little more holistic, but they're not quite functional medicine. But they don't do vaccines at all. I know there's a Thrive Pediatrics in Elgin that has been named to be friendly.
Yeah, so you can look up. You know how we here's a great analogy. So in the real estate world, when you're on the real estate investing side, you're always looking for, hey, does anyone have an investor friendly real estate agent?
That's a great analogy.
Or an investor friendly lender.
Yeah.
And those are people that work specifically with real estate investors that can talk the language of real estate investors, that understand the goals of real estate investors. And so now just replace real estate agent with a vaccine friendly person.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because that actually, people literally will comment in like the neighborhood mom groups and be like, hey, looking for recommendations for a delayed schedule friendly provider or, no vax, literally I see this all the time. They're posted anonymously. But I will say it's definitely harder as a first time parent, I would say 100% because you just, there's so much you don't know yet and you're just experiencing it. It's so scary being a first time parent. But it's a lot easier now because the conversation isn't as taboo as it was a few years ago. It is being talked about way more openly, and providers are probably more expecting of these conversations. My suspicion would be that your best bet in finding somebody would be somebody who's not a big box provider but has their own private practice and they're not as controlled by, the Endeavors, the Advocates, the Northwestern, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep seeing on X, it's going to be like NBC reports that measles is at the highest level it's ever been in recent history.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
it's the media seems to push out these articles, and was there a measles death? That was like, there was like one measles death that they were trying to pin on measles, but actually wasn't measles.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple, but the first one that happened, the family actually ended up getting interviewed, and they're like, she didn't die from measles. She actually recovered from measles and then got this other infection that they treated inappropriately. It was like malpractice.
So it was actually, doctor.
But the mainstream media was reporting it as a measles death, but literally her parents are like, she didn't die from measles.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, so there's a narrative spin that's out there.
For sure.
So yeah, look, you make this decision, you're gonna get attacked, you're gonna get eyes, but you just let it bounce off you. Boom, just boom, 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 and then you say, well, the results speak for themselves. And so it's like, well, I look at my son and I'm like, wow, he was only sick for 11 days. He never had a fever. That doesn't even compare to my other two children. And then you look up, well, how does that compare to an average person? Maybe my other two children were just like off the road, maybe they were, I don't know, maybe there's something really wrong with them. How does it compare to the average person? Well, then you look that up and you're like, oh shit, he's outperforming.
Well, it's interesting too, because as I mentioned, like most people who are choosing not to vaccinate a child are actually ex-vaxxers. They're not anti-vaxxers. All of those families, I've talked to several of these families now. All of these families will tell you the same thing, that their unvaccinated child is by far their healthiest child. We've had so many people message us and be like, my kid's 5, they've literally never been sick. Like, literally.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. As you start talking to people, you start realizing that.
Yeah, it's not just Wes. It's literally not just Wes. It's a common thing amongst the unvaccinated crowd, is that they are just healthier. They don't get sick as much.
There's a book, it's called Vax on Vax, the RFK book, and Brian Hooker, is that his name? Yeah. It's not even like a read. It's literally just like a big book of all these statistics of Vax on Vax. It's just looking at kids who had vaccinations versus kids who didn't, and looking at allergies, autoimmunes, illness, life expectancy, cancers, all these things. Like, it's just data. There's charts of data.
It's great.
It's great.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think after I saw that book, I was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It helps you. It helps you because if people have actually looked at that stuff, it helps you make these decisions. So,
well, and I think that's it. Like, as you were saying, like, you got to let these things bounce off of you. I would actually say, like, if you don't know, do nothing. That's like Jason's thing of like, if you don't know, just pause. Like, you can't undo a vaccine once you give it, right? But you can always choose later to get one. So
yeah, say that again. You cannot undo a vaccine. Whatever issue that may occur, and maybe it's an allergy, right?
Or an autoimmune. Or cancer.
Or something. Whatever it is, can't undo it. So these are very, very, very critical decisions. And to put it on new parents that are young 20s, shit, heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So, where were you going? You were going deeper on that.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, you said let it bounce off you. Like, I think actually the best way to equip yourself is to just have read it, read the inserts, look at the statistics. There's so many resources out there that will help guide you in how to do that. And then you feel equipped with data, because there's a point in our episode of 69 where I was talking about GBS with the pediatric doctor who came in and sat down, and I gave her all of my reasons why. And she said to me, I don't disagree with anything that you just said.
Uh-oh.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And she's like, well, but from the hospital's perspective, like, liability-wise, we want to have you covered. I'm like, liability-wise? Like, we're talking 0.5 to 2.5%, and you're going to give me all this, like...
Well,
it was just funny. I was like, you mean I'm not wrong?
It comes down to moral hazard. Moral hazard.
Yes. We're just so heavy on the preventative.
You're doing it for your neighbor. You're doing it for your neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's not for your own child.
Yeah, so I just feel equipped where you really feel confident in the decisions that you're making. It takes time.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing too, is like finding the time to dig into some of this stuff is not
Well, the only reason that you had that is that because you were a stay-at-home.
Because I left my job.
Because you left your job.
100%.
And you had a lot more. We had jumped on 75 Hard, and, you chose those vaccine books as the books that you were going to read. And it forced you every single day to read through 10 pages of very heavy vaccine theory.
Kind of. Yeah.
Why is that kind of?
Oh, because I didn't read those books the first year of 75 Hard. I actually started out with, I didn't read any vaccine books that early.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about the first time. I mean, we've done 75 Hard a number of times.
I see. Yes. Later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was like our third time doing it, or second time for you, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we completed another round of 75 Hard.
Yeah, we did. Even after that flu.
So this year was, So after that flu, I restarted. So that was my fourth completion of 75 days. I think it's great. Just doing it at the beginning of the year is so good. It sets you up for just a lot of good stuff. You're fit, you're feeling good. Now we're in like pool season. I can take my shirt off, and I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. That's good.
And now you're actually in phase one. You're going above and beyond right now. You just jumped into phase one.
Jumped into phase one.
You've completed it 3 times or 4 times?
I did it 3 times. Yeah. I didn't do it the 1 year with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I got one up on you, but you're on phase 1, which is bringing in the cold showers. So you're doing the cold showers.
Yeah. Oh my God. Cold showers. It's so funny because I loved the cold showers when we did it the first time. I swear this house has colder water than our house in the city had.
It absolutely does.
Like,
yes, it absolutely
the cold
does.
showers in the city did not feel like the cold showers here. The cold showers suck.
Yeah, the cold.
I mean,
it's cold
again, once you get past the 90 seconds, it gets better, but it hurts.
Yeah, so you're doing 30 days of 5-minute cold showers.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I only got 21 more days, though.
Let's go.
Yeah, almost done.
Sweet.
Almost done. God.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we wrap? I mean, I feel like that was a pretty good welcome back episode. It was very
hard-hitting.
Very hard-hitting. Yeah. Vaccines. Of all the things to talk about, vaccines. I had a friend of mine. He's like, Jason, how can you wake up every single day and talk about vaccines? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's just something in me. There's just it's like I got a chip on my shoulder. I just got something to prove. And then here we go. We've got a son who's just the poster boy. He's the golden boy. He's the what do we call him?
Sweetie boy.
Well, he's a sweetie boy, of course.
Sweetie boy.
But no, he's the pureblood.
Oh, that's what you call
that's
him.
What we call him. I mean, he's a pureblood. He's got nothing in him besides mama's milk. It's like insane. It's so great.
Well, now he's got food, but mama's milk.
Mama's milk. I mean, but let's also talk about that because like you on this go around, like he's our third child, and we're actually doing things wildly differently on our third child than we did our first 2. Okay, so you are exclusively nursing. Like, you didn't really nurse much with the first 2 kids, right? You just pumped.
Yeah, no, I pretty much just nursed in the hospital with Scarlett and then exclusively pumped with Layla.
I was able to contribute in terms of their feeding and whatnot. I don't do shit now. Like, it's because it's obviously I cannot nurse my child. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm a man. It doesn't actually work. I've never even tried. I would never want to try. So.
Yeah, so a couple things we did differently this time around. So like with both the girls, I started them on oatmeal at like 4 months because they were hungry and that was like the recommendation. And then I started puree. So at 4 months old, they were both getting, they supplemented with formula too. Wes, I didn't do that at all, I exclusively breastfed. But I didn't give that boy anything until he was almost 7 months old. And he was very hungry. Like he was very ready to start eating food. But I was committed to nursing because functional medicine had recommended no grains, no dairy prior to 6 months old. That was wildly different than at 4 months old giving our girls oatmeal and starting the grains right away. Wes actually still hasn't had dairy or much grain. He's gotten a little bit of gluten-free fruit bars that are really clean, but I haven't given him like a Cheerio.
I have a very big question for you because, Scarlett has a ton of allergies, and we really need to test Layla and figure out if she has any allergies.
Yeah.
We haven't done that yet, but Scarlett
She hasn't had outward symptoms, so.
Yeah, she hasn't had outward symptoms. So, but Scarlett is very, very allergic to eggs, which can be anaphylactic for her. But then she has intolerances to wheat, dairy, gluten, which is part of wheat.
That's wheat.
What else? Is that it?
So her panel shows up as other things, like almond has shown up. Sunflower showed up, which that one actually dropped off. So like a couple other like random small things that flared up, but that was attributed to some other things that she had going on too. So that's a whole nother episode. But,
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, she's got the allergies.
So we really have to watch, what Scarlett eats, and she's very gluten free, and to find things that are gluten free, dairy free, it's hard. It's extremely hard.
Well, the combo, like you can find things that are gluten free, you can find things that are dairy free, you can find things that are vegan. To find all three is the challenge. Gluten free and egg free is a challenge, because if you want a gluten free crust, more than likely it's going to have egg as its. And
so we're under the mindset that these allergies came from these vaccines, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do we know which one?
No.
Okay.
Don't know for sure.
Okay.
Probably MMR, but.
Probably MMR. Oh, that one.
I don't know for sure, right?
It's probably the damn MMR. Yeah.
But I think one of them has egg protein in it. I do not remember which one, so I can't speak definitively here. But given timing of when she started having symptoms, because she wasn't always allergic to eggs.
Oh, because she was eating eggs in her first year of life, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. And she wasn't anaphylactic then. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So when you start to put the pieces together, yeah. It's always interesting. You'll come across like adults that are like, yeah, I'm all of a sudden allergic to
that is
whatever.
So common. People are all of a sudden allergic to gluten, all of a sudden allergic to dairy, all of a sudden allergic to meat sometimes. Or I'm all of a sudden allergic to egg. Or I all of a sudden have this autoimmune, and it's like, you mean you went your whole life without it?
Yeah. What changed?
What changed?
What'd you do to your body?
Yeah.
What shot did you get?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would ask that question because that's what we kind of think is potentially causing some of these allergies. Now, and then you're going to be like, well, Jason, don't you think that what happens if Wes is allergic to something? He's not vaccinated. I guess I would have to am I walking? If we find out that Wes is allergic to eggs, what does that mean?
I think it means that I think we already know there's likely a predisposition for Scarlett for that to exist. But is that what her natural chemistry would have been had we not altered her immune system? I don't think so, because she wasn't allergic to originally. And this is the funny thing, too, is they always say, kids will grow out of it. And what I have learned about this is, are they growing out of it, or is their body healing from you stopping vaccines after this age, right? Because, it's such a heightened period of injections that you're giving them. Like, that was just the first year of life, but let's go all the way to 4. After 4, there's a pretty significant drop off of injections, and that's when they typically say, after that they'll kind of start growing out of things. It's like, well, maybe they're not growing out of it. Maybe their body's just healing because you're not pounding it with all this crap all the time. But
wow, I don't think I've ever actually heard that comment.
Yeah.
That's an interesting
Well, because that's what people have said. Oh, she'll probably grow out of the egg allergy.
Yes,
and she still may grow out of it. I think we're kind of reaching a point where it's looking like that is going to be a lot harder, but we're doing what we can to heal her body. You're asking about Wes.
Yeah.
So do I think that there is certainly a possibility of a predisposition to be there? And should he come out with an allergy, my suspicion would be that there was some type of environmental factor that triggered that in his body, there's some type of underlying factor. So that's, not to go to it, but I always want to go in these weeds. But with Scarlett, as I was saying, there's other things that popped up on her panel. Those other things that popped up on her panel weren't actually a true allergy. They were results of other things happening in her body. So she was fighting a lot of underlying infections, which I'm not going to go into those details. She also had leaky gut. So those things allow those proteins to leak through your gut and absorb into the bloodstream and then trigger the immune system. And so it's not actually an allergy. It's just that there's something biologically happening within your body that isn't working properly that is causing immune reactions. So going back to your question, it's super unlikely. If it were to happen, my guess is there would be some other type of environmental exposure or something else happening within his body. But TBD.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, I guess we will eventually find out, and we'll let you know.
He's had eggs.
Yeah.
He has had eggs.
Yeah.
So
did Scarlett.
So Scarlett. Yeah. So we'll wait. We'll wait and see.
All right.
See what happens.
Yeah, I guess we'll keep you updated. We'll let you know how his health remains for the next year. We'll do another follow-up episode. We're just gonna follow up every year until
we don't even need to because you're just out there on.
He's gonna be 25. He's gonna be 25, and we're still gonna be doing follow-up episodes.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we had like a couple new babysitters that came in over this last year because ours have like gone and graduated or whatever, and one of them, felt so bad for this girl, but the first time Jason's meeting her, he's like, "Yep, this is our pride and joy, our son, our unvaccinated pure blood." I was like, "What are you doing? You're just sharing with the world that he's there with this girl. He's unvaccinated." She was like, "Oh,
we have a podcast that we've already said this to whoever has listened to it. I think it's okay if I tell the babysitter."
I know. It's just, you like introduce him as the pure blood, the unvaccinated. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I'm proud of that boy. I'm proud of that boy. I'm proud of all our children. I love our children. Our children are the best.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing.
There's nothing better than kids.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than making the right decisions for your kids. And sometimes a lot of these decisions are very hard. And, they put a lot of stress on you. A ton of stress. Oh, my God. A lot of freaking stress.
Yeah. And you're obviously going to make mistakes like we did.
Yeah.
But
Nobody's perfect. You can't get this right. I mean, we could be totally wrong. But so far, we really like the results of what has happened. And I will continue to run with it. And, if we have a fourth child, I would say that I'm probably not going to vaccinate my fourth child. Just because the third child's result has just gone tremendously well. Why would I deviate from things that work? From clearly something that has worked and has worked in our favor, and it's only benefited him, and he is living a beautifully healthy life.
Yeah, and he's very happy.
So would you do
kid.
it again? Jason, would you do it again? Absolutely, I'm going to do it again. Absolutely, I'm going to do it again. So take that for what it's worth. Maybe you think we're crazy.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
it just bounces right up. All right. Well, what's your big takeaway from this?
A big takeaway? Again, I think it all comes down to truly understanding your risk and not taking what these salespeople are saying at face value. Because at the end of the day, they are trying to sell a product. They being, a whole layer of medical professional. I don't think most people are actually out there trying to harm kids. I think they believe that what they are recommending is true because they have taken the marketing at face value. But I would urge anybody to spend time and investigate all products, not just vaccine, but all things you put on or in your body, especially for your young newborn children. Before doing it, make sure you really understand what's in there and why you're doing it and what's the actual risk of not doing it and what's the risk of doing it, and then weigh those two things and decide what's right for you.
That's really great. That's really, really good advice. My big takeaway here is just the results kind of speak for themselves. I think we really don't know a ton of people who have been open about sharing their whole vaccine experience. And so sometimes I kind of felt like we were like the trailblazers within our own little group, right? Within our own little peer group. Like, oh shit, we're the science experiment, right? That's what it felt like to me, because I didn't really have at an arm's length in my book somebody that I was like, yeah, you made the right decision, and like we're gonna do the exact same thing because I trust your judgment. I didn't really have that person. Maybe you did.
Yeah, I would say I've definitely talked to a lot of people, but I would say I think I only know of one other child who is 100% unvaccinated like ours among the people that I know who are choosing not to vaccinate, because most people still chose to do like vitamin K. Most most of the people I know who are not vaccinated anymore chose to do vitamin K, or they started it and then stopped at 2 months or whatever. I think I can only think of one other child that I know 100% doesn't have anything, and that child is thriving.
Yeah, yeah, and so
Maybe two.
there's not
Maybe
a huge sample size to be like, yeah, this is the right choice, and so was the risk greater for us? Yeah, I think it obviously was, but we dove into understanding what the risks were. But like our risk of making that decision was actually quite high. You know what I mean? Because we didn't have. Oh, Sally down the street did this too, and and they did. Oh yeah, and them, and the Joneses, right?
Yeah, but that's why I say
we don't have that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is that the actual risk of us going unvaccinated was not as high as what they make it seem.
You put a lot of faith in me and my research.
Well, sure, but I mean, you were my guiding light here. But as it all uncovered here, like, again, the actual risks of being unvaccinated is not as high as what they will tell you. The risk of us making the decision was high. And that risk, I think, is really more just societal risk, right? Perception risk.
Perception, for sure, yeah.
And I think ultimately, as more and more people hear these types of stories and feel can connect with it, and that societal risk will actually lower.
I think it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. The number of people who come to us now and ask questions or share things has just blown up. I mean, it's
hugely.
It's not as taboo, for sure.
Yeah. So results speak for themselves. I think that's my takeaway. All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in to the newest episode of the Real Life Investing Podcast. If you found some value in the show, please share it. And we are going to continue our summer season when the kids are out of the house. I mean, it's great. We got 3 days a week where the kids are out of the house. We'll try to pump out an episode once a week, and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So we'll catch you on the next episode.